Hi friends, hope that you're all doing well. In today's video I want to share with you some of my favorite houseplant accessories. These items not only make my plant care routine easier, but also more fun and more enjoyable. So that being said, none of this is sponsored, just a couple of items that I really enjoy using, and all of them will be linked in the description box if you are interested. And if there are any cool items that you know of, maybe some cool accessories that you are using, don't hesitate to share that in the comments section. So let's begin. Okay, the first item and my absolute must-have and a game changer are these microfiber gloves. So these are for dusting off your plants. Obviously, dusting off is super important because when you have a layer of dust covering the plant leaves, the plant will have a harder time to photosynthesize because there's less light reaching the leaves because the dust is covering them. And also dust can be a little bit sticky, and this can also block the stomata, the small openings in the plant leaves that are responsible for gaseous exchange between the plant and the environment. So dusting off is super important, and most people use just wet microfiber cloth, and that works great. But I don't know about you guys, but whenever I use microfiber cloth, I will always manage to break some stems or to tear some leaves. And I feel like with microfiber cloth, you have less control over what you're doing. Whereas with these, not only first, I can be more gentle. Secondly, I can reach smaller leaves, and also I can work both hands. So these are absolute game changers for me, make the plant care routine faster and more efficient. Okay, another item that I think is also a must-have are these sticky tapes for fungus gnats. I don't know about you guys, but I always have fungus gnats during winter. Like, no matter what I do, I will always catch some. I think that's because, you know, in winter when we water our plants, the soil remains wet for longer periods of time because the plants don't use up as much moisture and they don't grow as quickly. So the soil remains wet for longer time. And also I grow a lot of seeds indoors for my outdoor container garden. So I need to keep them well watered, I need to keep the soil moist, and that almost always creates fungus gnat problems. So even before I see fungus gnats, I already place these sticky tapes inside my pots. So I cut these sticky tapes in half and, as I said, just place them randomly at the beginning of winter preventatively, just in case, and I always manage to capture some at some point. So I like to have these laying around just in case. This next item is something that I discovered just this past summer, and I'm totally obsessed. Like, I don't know how could I live without this before. These are mesh hole pads. So you place them at the bottom of your container, you cover the drainage hole, and then you repot your plant. And then whenever you water your plant, you will not have all that soil and all that dirt coming out of the drainage hole, because this allows the water to pass through, but it will filter all that dirt. So this is brilliant, especially outdoors, but even indoors. You know, even though we use saucers or we place our plants in more decorative pots, it's still great to use it to keep all that dirt inside the pot. You can reuse them. Whenever you repot your plant, you can reuse them. They don't dissolve. I know that some people use, for example, coffee filters, but coffee filters will dissolve over time, whereas these will not. So you can keep reusing them whenever you repot your plants. Next must-have item that I'm sure many of you already own, but just in case if you don't, repotting mat. I love to use it both indoors and outdoors on my balcony. It contains the mess without staining the floor all around it. The sides, you can actually clip them together, but I don't know if it's just the model that I have that is a little bit weird because, to be honest with you, I bought the cheapest one out there. But when I clip the sides, it has kind of odd shape, like you can see, something like that. I don't find this to be particularly practical. So personally, I just lay it flat like this, repot my stuff on it, then just grab it, get rid of the mess, and it works perfectly fine for me as well. So if you don't have a repotting mat, you probably should have one if you repot your plants indoors. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about plant propagation, because obviously as plant lovers we are constantly propagating something, right? So I have two items that I want to show you for plant propagation. One is pretty simple, the other one might surprise you. So let's start with the simple one first. So up until now I've been using spice jars to propagate my plants. You know, you take cuttings, root them in water, and I like to use spice jars because they are small enough to hold most cuttings. But I have discovered a really cool item that not only can serve as a vase for plant propagation, but also looks really cute as a decor item. Ta-da! Now, aren't these the cutest plant propagators that you have ever seen? I mean, they're pretty cute, right? I had 5 of these propagating mushrooms total, but being as clumsy as I am, I already managed to break 3 of them. So these are so cute, and they come in different colors, different sizes, and they have little openings in their cups, and you fill them with water, you place your cuttings inside. And even when you're not propagating, I like to display them just as mushrooms because they are cute and it's still kind of plant stemmed, right? But as I said, they also serve this great purpose of propagating plants. Another really cool method of propagation that I want to share with you that I haven't seen a ton of houseplant people talk about is air layering. And therefore my next gadget is root pouch for air layering. Air layering is a great propagating method that has a lot of advantages over the traditional cuttings method. Because when you take cuttings, you chop the mother plant, you place those cuttings in water, so you need to wait for several weeks for those cuttings to root in. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Then you transfer them from that water medium to the growing medium, to soil. It takes another couple of weeks for them to acclimate and to start to grow. So this process can be a bit long depending on the plant, obviously. But with air layering, you propagate the mother plant and you propagate the cuttings while they are still attached to the mother plant. So you open the root pouch, fill it with soil. You can do it also with sphagnum moss, but I prefer to do it with soil. You place the stem inside, close it, and you wait for the roots to develop. So while the roots are developing, the cutting, well, let's say cutting like this because it's not a cutting, it's actually attached to the mother plant. And because it is attached to the mother plant, it still receives all the water and all the nutrients it needs to grow and to just be healthy. And then at some point when the root starts to develop, you just cut it below and you have already ready plant, rooted, ready to be transplanted and ready to grow. So if you haven't tried that yet, I highly encourage you to give it a try. And these root pouches are really inexpensive. They come in different sizes. These are a bit large for houseplants because these are the ones that I use outdoors, but they come in smaller sizes as well. So give it a try if you haven't yet. Okay, and just a couple more items on my list. One of them is this individual grow light. I use a number of grow lights in my apartment because I have pretty low light levels, but as you can see in the kitchen, I usually group my plants together under one larger grow light, but that's not always possible in small apartments especially, or you may not even have the need for that. Maybe you have a great light levels in your apartment or in your home, but maybe you have that one plant somewhere further away from the window that could use some additional light. So these come in really handy because you can clip them on the pot or on the shelf above the pot, and you can change wavelengths. We have 3 different colors. Obviously, I don't have enough time to talk about wavelengths in this video, but they come with 3 different wavelengths, and I find them to be really practical, and it's a great gadget for maybe that one plant that could use a little bit extra light in your apartment. Okay, and the next item, or rather 2 items that I absolutely love, are these humidity domes from IKEA. I think they are beautiful just as they are, and they could serve as a decor item, but I love to use it for my houseplants, especially those baby plants that need a little extra maintenance. I babied my Alocasia Frydek variegata in both of these, and the plant absolutely loves it. It thrives, it keeps producing new beautiful leaves. But oftentimes when I post picture of these on Instagram, I get asked, okay, but won't the plant suffocate? Like, don't the plant need oxygen? And if you remember biology lessons from school, plants don't absorb oxygen, they absorb carbon dioxide, and then they release oxygen in the process of photosynthesis. They still need some oxygen, but they need it mostly around the roots. That's why we often say plant your plant in a well-draining, well-aerated potting mix, because they need oxygen around the roots. That's why when you overwater your plant, when there's too much water around the roots and not enough oxygen, the plant is drowning, because it needs that oxygen around the roots. So it's all good, the plant won't suffocate, and in all cases I take it off every now and then to make sure, you know, there's a fresh air, there are no fungus developing somewhere. But yeah, I take it off for a couple of hours and then place it back again, and the plants absolutely love it, and they thrive. This next item is something that I personally use more outdoors than indoors, but I'm convinced that you can put it to a good use indoors as well. These are adhesive plant hooks, and they are meant for climbing plants, to train climbing plants up the wall. Obviously plant supports like trellises and obelisks and stuff are great, but sometimes you don't have space for that indoors, or you just want to go for a more natural look, like you want to make it look like the plant is climbing the wall all by itself. So these are great because they are pretty much invisible. I use white ones because most of my walls are white, but they also come in green and in black, I believe. So you stick them to the wall, they adhere pretty well without damaging the surface, and then you twist these two two parts together to hold the stem, and you can create really lovely things with these plant hooks. Like if you grow a lot of trailing plants indoors, for example pothos, I've seen a lot of people train pothos up the wall to create kind of like a green wall indoors, so you could do it by using these adhesive plant hooks. Last but not least are plant supports or plant stakes, and I know I use the most ordinary ones that probably you can get, but obviously there are more cutesy ones out there, golden, heart-shaped or whatnot, but these do the job, so I'm fine with it. I use them both indoors and outdoors for those plants that are a little bit floppy. For example, at this point, my sansevierias, they produced really tall leaves and they get a little bit floppy, so I stake them with these plant stakes. The same, for example, for orchids or my amaryllis. When they produce a lot of flowers or the flowers are very heavy, the plant, you know, tends to flop. So these are really great, and you can barely see them because they are green and they are very thin. So I like them. As I said, they are not the most beautiful out there, but they do the job, so that's what matters the most, I guess. Okay, so here it is, my list of 10 items that I absolutely love using in my houseplant care routine. If you enjoyed this video, make sure that you are subscribed, because I'm gonna be making another one like this, but for balcony and for container gardens. So hope you found some helpful information and tips in today's video. Thanks so much for joining me, and we'll see each other in the next one. Bye!